Hey, what's going on, guys? King here. In today's video, I'm going to take you through a cosmetic build guide to help you create your very own Ultramarines First Company Vanguard Veteran for the Assault class in Space Marine 2. We're going to go through everything from armor pieces to chapter and heraldry markings, as well as weapon skins for the Assault class. And at the end of the video, we are going to go through some concept art from Games Workshop to compare our model here in Space Marine 2 to those models on the tabletop. But something to note about the Vanguard Veterans and what makes them special within their chapter is Vanguard Veterans are the elite masters of close quarters combat who spend a lengthy rotation in their chapter's assault squads. So Vanguard Veterans are the elite. They are the veterans of their chapter when it comes to wreaking havoc from the skies and dealing damage to their enemies. So we're going to start off with the armor pieces. For our Marine here, as you can see, we have our standard issue Second Company Ultramarine right here, and we are going to go over here to the custom armor set to create our custom armor set, and we are going to start with the helmet. Now, in Space Marine 2, there are a bunch of different options that you can use, especially for Ultramarines and veteran Ultramarines. So you can use everything from the Mark 10 Tacticus helmet here to the Mark 10 Tacticus with skull, laurels like these, and then laurels on the top of the head, as they all fit with the Roman Greco style that the Ultramarines utilize for their armor pieces. You can also use a couple different variations signifying maybe firstborn Marines or Marines that have spent a long time in their chapter as veterans, such as the Mark 8 Errant helmet here and the Mark 8 Errant with the Aquila. You can also use things like the Mark 7 helmet with laurels, as well as the Mark 10 Tacticus with the Ultramarines chapter marking. Along with that, you can also use the Mark 6 Beaky helmet. And for this Marine specifically, we are going to be using the Mark 6 Beaky helmet as it is pretty known in Assault Marines and across chapters to be associated with Assault Marines and Veteran Marines. So we're going to use this one here. Next, we're going to move over to the left pauldron. And what we want to make sure with the left pauldron is that Ultramarines insignia is very clear and not covered up. So we can use everything from the standard issue type pauldrons to mastercrafted to artificer here with laurels. And then also relic tier armor, showing that Ultramarines insignia with really, really nice decorative accents. So we are going to use this one right here. It has a nice decorative raised shoulder piece and also a purity seal on it. And then for the right pauldron, again, we have a few different options from standard issue to mastercrafted and artificer tier armor. The relic type armor for the assault class in this does not show any sort of markings on the side, so we are going to stay away from that. But you could also use some of these pieces from the prestige kits with different little accents and decorative pieces on it like this. Or you can use some of the armor pieces that you can purchase within the Accolade store, being a veteran pauldron like this, showing the wings with the skull. That is also falls in line with what a Vanguard veteran would wear, as well as the honorific shoulder pauldron here. But in this situation, what we are going to do is we are actually going to use this Crux Terminatus shoulder pauldron. The Crux Terminatus is known throughout chapters to signify a veteran who has earned the status to wear Terminator armor. The Crux Terminatus signifies that. So this pauldron specifically is going to match really well with our Vanguard veteran and allow us to signify that he is a veteran and that he has the ability to wear Terminator armor within the First Company of the Ultramarines. So we're going to go with that one here. Moving on to the breastplate, again, we have a lot of different options that the Ultramarines can utilize, everything from standard issue to artificer tier to even relic tier like this. Now, it is getting a little bit decorative for the Vanguard veteran going into the relic tier. It does fit with the Ultramarine style of that Roman Greco style with lots of laurels, lots of purity seals. We could even use something like the Tyrannic War Veteran chest piece, but we are not creating a Tyrannic War Veteran in this scenario. We are just creating a standard First Company Vanguard Veteran. So we're actually going to go with something in the mastercrafted tier to keep that breastplate open with not as many decorative pieces and not as many accents. So we're going to go with this one here. Along with that, moving on to the jump pack, we do have a few options here that are going to match more so with the Ultramarine style. Everything from, again, standard issue, mastercrafted, artificer tier, very basic skull, and then the double eagle hanging from the bottom. This one, the artificer tier, has a little bit of tabard hanging off of it, which is really, really cool as well. The purity seal with the Ultramarines insignia, also very cool. And then the relic tier also has some really cool decorations here. So laurels and skulls on the side, and then purity seals showing the Ultramarines chapter insignia. As we get into the further relic tier, we start to lose some of those items as well. So this one is really, really decorative, but it doesn't really show that they are part of the Ultramarines as far as purity seals and whatnot. So we are going to go with something in the relic tier, but we're going to go with this one here, showing the double eagle at the bottom and then the 2 purity seals. This one fits really, really well. In terms of war gear, there are some good options here, but really the one that fits best is going to be this relic tier regalia showing the double eagle heads on the top of the jump pack. This one fits really well with the Ultramarines type style, that Roman Greco style, and it's very clean, decorative, and matches well with the assault pack as well. So we're going to go with this one here. And then moving into gauntlets, we are going to keep them very basic. On some of the concept art that we're going to see a little bit later, you're going to tell that the gauntlets don't have too much decoration to them. They are pretty standard issue. So in this scenario, we are going to stick with the standard issue gauntlet for the left and the standard issue gauntlet for the right. We could also use something with chains on the artificer tier, purity seals, even the robotic arm, which would look really good. But we do want to have matching arms for this Marine. So we're going to go with the standard issue gauntlets on this Vanguard Veteran. And in terms of greaves, starting off with the left greave, we can go with a few different options as far as mastercrafted, artificer, relic tier, but we want to make sure that we are keeping the left knee pad open for chapter and heraldry markings. So we're going to go with this relic tier left greave that has the double eagle on the front but keeps the knee pad open. And then on the right greave, we are going to go with something that does have the skull on the knee pad, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later when we go through the concept art that shows a really unique thing that the Vanguard veterans do with their heraldry markings. So we're going to go with this one. And that's going to be our armor pieces for this Vanguard veteran. Looks really, really solid. Very clear chapter markings for the Ultramarines, some nice decorations, and some nice accents as well. So next we're going to move into the heraldry portion of this cosmetic build. We are going to start from scratch, but what we want to make sure is that we have a standard color, being that Macragge blue being the base for all of our Ultramarine colors. That is going to be in line with what the game has in terms of Ultramarines blue or Macragge blue. So we are going to keep that consistent. All of the accents though, so the double eagle, the Aquila on the front, the double eagle on the left greave, and the skull on the right greave are all going to be in this Liberator gold, okay? The biggest identifier for Vanguard veterans and veterans of the first company for the Ultramarines is going to be their white helmet and their white trim on their shoulder pads. So we are going to start with the helmet here. We are going to set this to white scar. And we are going to keep the lenses for this Marine in the Mephiston red, as most Ultramarines are going to have that red eye color. Next, we are going to change the left pauldron, and we are going to make that accent color, the trim on the left pauldron, Corax white. And that is going to be the determining factor that makes this veteran the first company veteran versus a second company or third company or fourth company Marine. And now moving on to the greaves, we are going to start with the left greave, and we are going to use a very basic Ultramarines chapter marking to identify this veteran Marine. Now, there are a few different ones that you could use in terms of identifying their veteran status. We wouldn't use something like this, as this is a sergeant marking, but you could use something like this, the Nova Marines marking, and change up the color scheme a little bit. You can use this veteran icon as well, the laurels with the skull, even these Tyrannic War veteran markings, if they are a Tyrannic War veteran. But we are going to stick with a very basic Ultramarines chapter marking here, just to make it very clear on that left greave. And then we are going to do something pretty unique with the right greave and the skull on the right greave knee pad. So something you will see among Vanguard veterans and Ultramarines in general is sometimes they will use these split icons, these checker base icons throughout the chapter. So you could use this company icon, you could use this company icon and change the colors a bit. You could even use something like this from the DLC pack and the Dark Angels and change the color a bit. And even stuff like this, the split checker and this side checker one with the Imperial Fist, and then just remove the Imperial Fist. But we are going to go with something a little bit unique. So we're going to use this company icon that splits it into 4 quadrants. And then we are going to change the entire knee pad to that white scar color. And I'll show you this when we look at the concept art from Games Workshop, as this is something that Vanguard veterans will typically do, even sometimes Stern Guard veterans, to identify their veteran status throughout the chapter. So this is going to be our Marines so far. Pretty solid in terms of heraldry markings, chapter markings, correct armor pieces, and that Ultramarines chapter marking on the left pauldron looking really clear, and a very clear first company veteran with the white helmet and the white shoulder trim. Now, in terms of weapon choices and weapon skins, veterans of the first company can use the entire array, essentially, of weapons and weapon skins. Everything from bolt pistols to heavy bolt pistols, plasma pistols. You typically won't see them using something like an Inferno pistol or a Neo Volkite. So these 3 really are going to be our main choices, but typically they will carry a master-crafted version of that weapon into battle. So master-crafted bolt pistol, master-crafted heavy bolt pistol, or even a master-crafted plasma pistol. And then melee weapons, the Vanguard veterans have full access to use whichever melee weapons they desire, everything from chainsword to thunderhammer to power fist, power sword, power axe. In terms of chainsword, they will typically go with something like a master-crafted chainsword such as this, but other weapons they may use an artificer or relic tier, so something like the thunderhammer like this, or even a relic tier power fist like this, or a relic tier power sword such as this. So if we're looking at the thunderhammer and we wanted to change that weapon skin, we would come here, the relic tier thunderhammer skin, the relic tier power fist skin like this, and relic tier power sword skins like this one, or this one. So those are all at the disposal of the Vanguard veterans to use in whatever way they would like to wreak havoc on their enemies in close quarters combat. So that's going to be the build for our Marine. Let's jump over to some concept art from Games Workshop and see how it stacks up with what the tabletop miniatures will look like. Okay, so as you can see here, we have some concept art from Games Workshop showing the Vanguard Veterans squadron that you can purchase. Currently, this squadron does show Firstborn Marines. The Vanguard Veteran Squadron for the tabletop miniatures is due for a refresh. But as you can clearly see here, you can see the very clear Ultramarines chapter insignia on the left, and then the Crux Terminatus on the right. You can even see the Crux Terminatus on some Marines on their weapons, signifying that it's a relic tier weapon. It's very, very rare throughout the chapter. But you can see they use a wide variety of weapons, everything from chain swords to lightning claws, thunderhammer and storm shield, as well as power swords. And you can see that a little bit clearly right here. They have a lot of decorative options on the top of their jump packs, on their shoulder pieces, on their knee pads, everything like that. And I think that is really in line with the build for our Marine in Space Marine 2. Now, this is more so a picture of the sort of the model that we were modeling our Marine after, with the Mark 6 beaky helmet. As you can see here, it has a skull and laurels, but you can clearly see here on the knee pad on the right knee, it has a identifying skull marking and then a completely white background, which helps identify the Marine as a first company veteran. So that also is in line with sort of our build for our model in Space Marine 2, which is really good. And then as you can see here, there are some unique armor pieces and heraldry markings. This one was specifically on the Sergeant, showing that shoulder pad with the wings. This one has a double eagle, but you could use that veteran shoulder pad, the one that had the wings and the skull, and then use a veteran heraldry decal as well. And then also showing a close-up of those lightning claws with the Crux Terminatus on the top. And what I really want to point out here is this Vanguard Veteran squad that is currently still available in Firstborn Marines is due for a refresh, mainly because Games Workshop has already released their new Jump Assault Captain with Thunderhammer and Storm Shield and a bunch of other weapon options that you can purchase as well. But here you can see it's a little bit different. They have a very clear Ultramarines left pauldron, but they have a decorative right pauldron and some more decorations on the top of that jump pack, being like an iron halo. You can see actually the Crux Terminatus on the left greave, and then a very clear Ultramarines insignia on the right greave. So this is new because this is primarily, or this is a Primaris Marine compared to the Firstborn Marines. But as you can see, they're really updating the style of their Jump Assault Marines, and I believe this is going to be that first sort of lead into refreshing their entire Vanguard Veteran squad. They recently released an entire battle force with a refreshed Stern Guard Veteran squad, which I have done a video on previously. But because they have this new jump captain with Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, I wouldn't be surprised if they re-released the Vanguard Veterans in this updated style. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did we hit the mark or did we miss the mark with our build in Space Marine 2 for our Assault Marine? If you guys like content like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.